And welcome back to the Ratchetdavo Podcast. This is episode 9 with my brother Joe, who you've seen in a couple past episodes. And it's been a couple weeks since I've been live with the podcast. And honestly, I've kind of missed it because I think I enjoy kind of our weekly updates on the automotive culture, racing, and everything like that. We've missed a couple races. The Sebring, 12 Hours of Sebring has happened for IMSA already, as well as
Such a good race.
yeah. So on like multiple levels, even watching the MX5 Cup racing, like even that was extremely entertaining to watch. You know, one of the races was literally a fight for the top 3, and they finished like 3 wide at the finish line, and they had to slow motion.
Man.
They had to slow motion look at the camera to see whose bumper was ahead of the
Literally a
others.
photo finish. Yeah, that's spec racing for you, I guess, man.
Yeah. That's been the most enjoyable to watch, but I mean, IMSA is always so much fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, just watching that 12 hours of Sebring and the 911 RSR was just getting whooped the whole race and just had a couple like bad pit stops. And then that final lap with the Corvette and the BMW like spinning each other out, and the 911 got first.
The pull through. Yeah. That was 4th year in a row that Porsche has come through for the win, I think, at Sebring.
Yeah, because I remember last year they had a horrible season. Like they were out of championship contention, like with like 5 races left in the year, but they won Sebring last year because I think didn't they have a doubleheader? Not a doubleheader, but they raced Sebring twice last year,
I can't
right?
remember. There was something about COVID that made that weird, though.
Oh well, maybe it was delayed. Maybe they canceled Sebring and then put it at the very end. Maybe.
Yeah, because if you think about COVID, at this time last year was becoming in full effect, and everything was being shut down and rescheduled to the later times in the year.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating. But one of the main things, great segue into today's topic, I actually had people reach out to me and wanted me to talk about what I thought about the RPM Act and the Clean Air Act that the EPA is trying to pass, which I think is very interesting. I've seen a couple people make some videos on this, but I definitely have some interesting thoughts on it, and it definitely worries me, no doubt. I don't know about you, but
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. For speaking from like experience of actually having a street car that I'm trying to convert into a dedicated race car, I mean, this hits home so much. To basically the EPA is saying what I'm doing is illegal. I mean, it's just a complete. I mean, you could consider it a complete violation of rights, which is why I think the RPM Act is so important that we get that going, so we actually have legislation that makes what we're doing completely legal and basically untouchable.
yeah.
To the
So,
EPA.
yeah. So if you're watching this video or listening to this podcast, Google the RPM Act and you can sign that petition basically to try to help get rid of this Clean Air Act, which, you know, the EPA has been doing this and trying to come at this for a long time. This is not new information. It's just
it's like 2015, right?
Yeah,
when
and
it
even
came out.
yeah, and even before that, like there's some articles talking about like 50 years the EPA has been pushing for this, and I really think that I mean California in some way has already got some of this going because they're trying to control. They're not controlling who's buying the parts. The problem is not these people buying the parts, but it's when they get on the road, the law enforcement have the laws that make them able to pull over vehicles that have aftermarket exhaust systems and to ticket and even impound vehicles.
Yeah.
Like California Highway Patrol is probably the worst law enforcement agency for the car people because I've watched videos of people in California, the highway patrol, without questioning anything, they will just tow the car and impound it, and you got to pay all these fees and everything. So that I think is what they're pushing for ultimately, because that's able to, you can't, the exhaust system is like probably one of the biggest aftermarket mods done to any car
Yeah.
in general, so it's like getting rid of the emission system, no more cats on the car. Mufflers don't really help with emissions, they just help keep things quiet. But the main thing is the catalytic converters being removed from the vehicles, which obviously we don't see any problem with that.
No, catalytic converters are,
We hate them.
horrible. I mean, every time there's been probably 10 or maybe even a dozen vehicles that I've owned that I've just immediately cut the cats out of.
Yeah.
Sometimes the muffler too, but I mean, I know that the internals of like cats are super valuable and you can get a lot of money for those, I guess, salvage, but
I've sold a few cats in my day for sure.
Yeah, but it's just so restrictive. So you're telling us that it's not legal to have that mod, but then if you have a car that is a street car, but you take it to 10, 15 track days a year, what do you expect somebody to just constantly be like, putting an exhaust back on and off the car? I mean, I know people that live in emissions counties in Georgia where I used to live, that it's, they have to, every time they have to go in for an emissions check, they have to reinstall all their factory stuff and hope that, and sometimes they still fail the emissions checks because it's an older car. But
yeah, definitely. So I don't live in emissions county right now, so I don't know if that will change at some point, and then it'll be like a national law to have every county must have like an emission standard or whatever. I'm sure that'll come in time. I mean, this is the way the world is going. Everybody is pushing for the electric cars and clean air and everything like that. So I know which way the world is going, but I don't think it's right to yes, control streetcars. Okay. I get that. I get what you're doing, but to try to attack motorsports in general, I don't understand how that is going to complete your mission of having clean air, because it's not.
It's just really not. Like, honestly, and I mean, not trying to throw shade at Burger King specifically, but if you
No, you are right. Oh my God, I know where you're going with this.
If you shut down, I mean, you drive by a Burger King and the ozone is completely polluted.
Dude, it's pushing out more black smoke than a Cummins diesel on a Friday afternoon. Listen,
it's so true. So true.
Like, I don't eat there because I see the grease in the air.
I don't eat Burger King either. I mean, some people love it, but it's just, I think you would be doing the world a favor if you shut those down versus take away like street legal race cars. So
yeah, they're definitely a lot of other things besides the automotive industry. I think street cars in general and transportation is probably the biggest thing that causes, the air not to be clean and pollution and everything like that. But I don't understand how the EPA is able to all of a sudden create this bill that they want to be passed. And I'm just thinking about the amount of jobs that the aftermarket world has right now. And it's got to be, I mean, I don't know if, it's, I think it's safe to say millions for sure.
It's definitely, it's got to be millions.
It's got to be, because there are millions of cars on the road, but if you think about it now, like my job is all aftermarket. Like what I do to trucks every day is everything is aftermarket. There's not a single thing that I'm doing that's factory on any of the vehicles.
So this is coming straight from the SEMA.org article that I read, and it said retail sales of racing products is a $2 billion market annually. So I mean, that you've got to think that if there's $2 billion annually, that there's got to be at least 500,000 employees, 500,000 jobs on the line.
It's just no way. It would be crippling the economy to get rid of the racing world. I don't think people understand how big, people that are not into racing, I don't think they understand how big motorsports is.
Yeah. And 100%. I mean, and I feel like you would go, I mean, we were just at Caffeine and Octane, and I think it's fair to say that probably probably 75% of the cars there are technically illegal. you know,
according to this act,
according to the Clean Air Act,
mm-hmm.
you know, which is obviously complete BS. So
Yeah.
I just think I see where they're coming from with like trying to create like a cleaner environment, but I don't think, like you said, I don't think attacking motorsports and like the aftermarket community for sports cars and motorcycles is the way to go. I don't think that's the right angle there. They're grasping at straws.
Because I was reading an article that says how the multi-billion-dollar industry is trying to ruin our air. Like, so this is an article written by someone that believes in the Clean Air Act, you know, and it literally makes everything that we're doing sound so bad. Like adding that downpipe to your car, you know, is so bad, and you should feel bad that you're hurting the environment and everything like that. And I just, like, I don't understand.
If you're a car guy and you hear that, it just makes you want to go.
Yeah, it's like, all right,
two-step your car at every single light.
Yeah, it's like go to through their neighborhood, you know. It's crazy. And I think SEMA, you know, put together an article because SEMA is 100% all about aftermarket parts. The SEMA show, everything about it. I'm assuming we're talking about the same SEMA.
We are. Yeah, it's the same.
I didn't know if there's another acronym for something else.
No,
the Specialty Equipment Market Association.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's their business, you know, and brand is directly
so technically the SEMA show would go away because every single car there would be illegal according to the Clean Air Act. You know, everybody's building these badass street cars that you can take to the track to showcase their abilities. These companies, you know, wheel companies are going, everything like that. Now, I don't know if wheel companies will be affected, but in some way, I guess they will, because people aren't buying wheels for their street cars / track cars, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like everything's going to be here. It's just not just exhaust systems. I mean, they're everything will be crippled because all of a sudden my Z32 track car that I daily every once in a while is now just a daily. It has to be factory exhaust, you know, and I can't take it to the track. So, I mean, it's going to slow down everything. But let's say
I guess technically you could still take it to the track, but it would have to be completely pass emissions.
Yeah.
So which would be
a bunch of underpowered. So there's going to be some spec racing.
Well, I mean, they're not going to make. I don't feel like.
Racing.
I wonder. I mean, how far would they take this? I don't even want to like imagine how far they would take it, because if you're talking about current cars that are street cars, street legal, but they're used mostly for track days, you know, and then driving to caffeine and octane, like, would people have to undo all those changes in order to be legal? Like, no one's going to actually follow up with that.
Every car is going to have to pass emissions. You know, if this happens, every car will have to pass emissions everywhere, right? So you have to do the emissions check. So right now, my county doesn't have that, but it probably will at some point. So I'll have to take my car to emissions. So it's like, if I don't have that cat on my car because I put a downpipe that deleted the cat, you know, you have to reverse everything that you did, get the car to pass emissions, you know, once a year, and then go back. Like, people are doing that now in their non-emissions or their emissions.
So do you think there would be more people driving their unregistered street car that they use 90% for track, like to caffeine and octane? Do you think you're going to have a few more like unregistered vehicles out there rolling around?
I think more than a few. And I think the street racing scene is going to go nuts. Like the takeovers that you see, like the highway takeovers, completely different topic, because I don't consider that street racing. I'm talking about, like, I can't take my track car to the track anymore because it's a street car. So instead, you know, because I'm not going to go back and forth and blah, 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 so on and so forth. So instead, they're just going to go out on a Friday night, like at 2 a.m, and freaking roll race everywhere, you know. I just imagine that you're going to create, you put one thing in motion, and then it's like a spider effect of more problems. And I think that's what I doubt that the EPA is sitting down with a pros and cons list because their main goal is clean air. So they don't care about the repercussions because it doesn't affect them. It affects everybody else. That's just what's going through my head. I'm like, I don't think they put a pros and cons list like pros, no more racing at tracks.
Yeah, but also those are the type of people that don't ever go. I mean, they're not going to the track. They're literally not like involved in that scene at all.
This
like,
is the people that drive Nissan Leafs, Chevy Volts, and yeah, they have an electric lawnmower.
They're literally not. It's just funny because like they're not like by driving a Prius versus 370Z, like you're not doing that much for the environment, and the 370Z that has a cat back exhaust, isn't, or a cat delete with a Greddy isn't doing that much damage to like the environment. Like you could sit there with a calculator all day and try to figure out how much it is, but there's way bigger issues besides that. But
well,
anyway,
have
you
seen that picture though of an electric car plugged in and then the line goes straight to a coal plant for electricity? And like, so you're using electricity, which goes back to hurting the environment. So ultimately, yes, you're driving a car that's clean for the air, but what you're having to do to charge that vehicle is not clean for the air. And I know there's people trying to create, cleaner ways, solar power, and basically,
I feel like there is definitely a right way to do that and a wrong way, but some people go in with this like idea in their head that they're going to make a difference by driving a Prius, and you're just not. Like there's other things that you can do to help the environment.
Prius still has a gas motor. Prius still has a gas motor.
So I mean, I guess if you're if you're driving the Tesla, I guess it's maybe a better example for that.
Maybe. But I think the arguments could go back and forth. Like you could actually have a real debate about what really is clean energy and everything like that. But like, I think
that's for the scientists out there to determine.
Yeah, I'm not going to act like, I know everything. I'm just, when I saw this come up, I really was thinking about how bad our economy will hurt, how the car community, which we know and love, and it's not everything to us, but it's a big part of our lives. It will be hurt by that. It's, and I don't know what will happen. And I think you brought up a good example right before we started recording, but how they're trying to regulate guns and ammo, I think is a great example in a different way of how they will try to regulate this, and then how on the other end of it, it'll impact sales of aftermarket items and how that will go. And I imagine it will be pretty regulated if they get down to it, but I don't think it'll be impossible to be able to still purchase parts. They're just
not. It'll literally just be, there's going to be certain parts that are going to be not. It's going to say like not legal for use in street vehicle.
Yeah, not.
People are still going to buy it. People are still going to put it on there. Like
there's already.
It might raise the price of these parts. Honestly, I mean, like it may jack up the price of what you're trying to buy because.
That's true. I think.
I don't know.
I mean, you already see now there's like a little tag that says off-road use only, and that doesn't mean for off-road vehicles. That just means not for like mud trucks. It means just like not for road use, only for track use kind of thing. So they've already been doing that. I think companies have to do that for liability reasons. Put that little tagline in there to say, hey, we're not saying this is made for the street. So if you put this on your street car, it's no longer our problem, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, because they're not advertising that the muffler delete straight pipe that you're putting on is street legal. They put in there for off-road use only. Yeah.
Off-road H pipe.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's interesting. I definitely support the RPM Act. We want to save motorsports. We don't want to see it go away. It affects everything for us, I think life would be a little bit boring without the motorsports stuff, and being able to watch it and enjoy it and partake in events and stuff.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
So it would be sad times, I don't even want to go into hypotheticals about what would happen if they did take over and things like that. But they're making people that love modifying their cars, and putting their time and money that they've earned into it. Like, they're making it sound so bad,
Yeah, you're attacking it. I mean, you're literally attacking like a culture. And to some people, I guess they would hear that and be like, what? It's just a car. But like, it truly is like a culture of people that can come together. Of like Shane was saying the other day, he's like, people come out to these events, Caffeine and Octane, and like, it doesn't matter what background you're from or what your beliefs are. You literally just come together with a common common interest, and when people, and they're trying to attack that for sure. So
yeah, moving forward, I definitely think it'll be interesting. So if you're listening, sign your RPM Act, find out some way that you can support it. I know that a lot of famous people or YouTubers were putting links where you could actually reach out to your congressman from your area to try to get in contact and let them know, what was going on, and that you support it. And that could go a long way. The more times that your congressman is hearing about this from different people in your area, it's going to bring that to light. And
I mean, if you are listening and you want to know like where exactly, I mean, most people have smartphones. You go to votervoice.net or just Google RPM Act, and you can go, and any of those links have areas you can go sign and send it to your congressman or whatever. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts on the RPM Act and the Clean Air Act, and what you think is the right thing to do in this scenario, and what you would do if the Clean Air Act was passed. And are you going underground racing every Friday night, or are you I don't know, but I think it definitely, this was a long time coming for the EPA, and it won't be if they fail, this will not be the last time they'll try for something like this. But
no.
I think the car community is strong enough and big enough to get rid of this bill. I think our voice will be heard, and I'm going to stay positive and say that I don't think this Clean Air Act, in regards to taking away motorsports and aftermarket stuff, will pass. I don't think it will. I just think there's too much, love and support in the car community, and people don't want to see it go away.
Racing's definitely not going away anytime soon. So
what we need to do is get the heads of the EPA some ride-alongs, and I guarantee you they'll change their mind. Let's get them in. What car would change their mind in a nice little ride-along? I don't know. Might have to get the IMSA cars out or something and really let them feel some G-forces.
I mean, there's a global time attack driver right now that has a new Viper ACR that just absolutely shreds.
The Viper would be a good one because that side pipe is right there.
The side pipe is right next to the driver's ear.
When I did my ACR ride along, that was the most beautiful sound, and sucks. My GoPro died during that run, of course, but I literally sat there like down the back straight with my eyes closed going 170.
It's just a glorious,
just like right there, best sound ever.
And I love the sound of Vipers.
No, I mean the V10 is glorious. I think though, if you really wanted to scare the shit out of them, that Alpha GTR that I rode along in with was very aggressive.
Yeah, that looked quick. You had a video from that, right? On your
yeah. We almost hit 180, I think.
Good
by the end
Lord.
of the back straight. Yeah.
That's terrifying.
But I mean, he did the big brake upgrade and everything. Like when he hit the brakes, that car came to a complete stop in no time. 180 coming down the hill and then hit the brakes.
That's the problem with that brake zone is like it's a brake zone that's literally downhill. Like you feel like you're leaning forward. So when you slam on the brakes, you're like leaning forward like way more than you normally would on a like flat surface.
Strapping those harnesses.
And then you're looking at basically like a sand gravel pit.
Yeah, you're looking straight at the gravel pit. Yeah, Road Atlanta is
For that reason, that's such a fun corner to be like spectating it. So
we'll get back to there. We'll get back there.
that's where our RV spot is basically indefinitely. So
yeah, that's awesome. Well, let me know down in the comments what you think, and if you'd give a ride along to an executive at the EPA.
what it would be.
What it would be. Thanks for listening, y'all, and we'll see you in the next episode.